Hey everyone, this is Pastor Tabitha. This week's lectionary passage actually takes a little bit of a break from the Exodus story. We can find it in Numbers chapter 21, verse 4 through 9. Um, and this week's passage is about Moses leading the Israelites in the wilderness. And at this point, the Israelites, they're complaining. And not surprising, the Israelites tended to complain a lot. But they were complaining and they were saying things like, man, Egypt was better than this. And they were just finding themselves really ungrateful for their circumstances, despite having um, complete freedom from Egypt. They were still complaining. And as they were following Moses, following God through the wilderness, they came to an area that was just riddled with poisonous snakes. And every time that they were bit by a snake, they could die because of it. Um, and they pleaded, Moses, please go pray to God on our behalf. So Moses just did just that. He prayed that God would save them from the snakes, and God told Moses to craft a bronze snake and wrap it around his staff, around the pole. And every time that the Israelites would look at the pole, they would be saved. But every time, or the snake on the pole, they would be saved. But every time that they looked away, they would be bitten by the snake. Um, and so the Israelites did just that. Um, and it strikes me just how much we don't really stop to register or to think about our actions. It's so easy, even as Christians, for us to find ourselves caught up in just in ourselves. Um, we may not think much about that, but the reality is, um, even something as simple as like, I'm not in a good mood today, so I'm gonna go um, buy me a cup of coffee to cheer me up. Or, oh, this person just makes me so mad. I've got to go vent and tell somebody else about how angry I am about this person. Um, just it's so simple to get caught into those things and to rely on comforts that surround us instead of slowing ourselves down to stop and to look at Jesus. Um, we can see the symbolism or the parallelism between the bronze serpent and Jesus on the cross. And that every time we look at Jesus, the pain of this world stops biting us. It doesn't mean it's not there. It's that our focus is so much on the cross that even if it's there, even if it's trying to drag us away, we can find joy in the Lord because that's where our focus is. But the minute that we stop focusing on Jesus, all of a sudden the pain and the sin and the hurt of the world comes biting back at us. And um and we don't think much of it, but we look at that snake that bit us, and now what do? We complain that, oh no, I got caught up in X, Y, and Z, and so now I'm a horrible person, and then we find ourselves chasing the next thing and the next thing, seeking our own desires because we've taken our eyes off the cross. Um, but the minute that we we look towards the cross, the minute that we seek the face of Jesus, is the minute that those snakes can't touch us because we're in the power of the cross. And I know it's hard. It's hard to start or continue the habit of praying, of reading our Bible, of um, trusting God in all circumstances. But the power of it is that when we do those things, that not only are we seeing the face of God, but we are also not being bit by the world. The world's not taking us out. And so this week I just it's a little bit shorter of a video, and I think it's okay. But this week I want to pose the question, what are the snakes that are biting you? Have you found yourself in um a cycle of complaining? Have Have you found yourself maybe trying to cover up lies so that you won't get caught or that you won't get in trouble? Have we found ourselves in a point where um, we are complacent in our workplace, or where we are thinking hurtful thoughts about ourselves or somebody else? Um, what are our actions saying to the world that is around us? Um, are we being bitten by the snakes of the world, or are we facing Jesus on the cross? And if we're being bitten by the snakes of this world, I encourage you, I encourage all of us to stop and to look at Jesus, and he will take those snake bites and he will turn them into something glorious. He will take the poison of those bites and he will turn them into the anti-venom that the world is facing. Um, Seeds of lying can be turned into an honest person in the hands of a God who loves us. Um, the poison of complaining can turn to the anti-venom of praise. The poison of self-doubt can be turned into the anti-venom of self-worth. The poison of bitterness towards somebody can be turned into the anti-venom of love for that person. You see what I'm saying here? When we turn to God, the venom from those bites can become the anti-venom that might heal somebody else's wound. So think on that this week. This week's Bible verse is one that we frequently, or we should pretty much all know, and if we don't, well, hopefully we will soon. But it's John 3:16, and it goes, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him, no, whoever believes in him will never die but have eternal life." That was kind of a mess. Let me say that again. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will never die but have eternal life. I hope that this helps you in preparation for this coming Sunday, and maybe even just in general, that the Spirit can do this work in you this week. See you guys next week.